All right, I believe we are live. Let me just double check and make sure we are good to go. Let's double check. All right, look, perfect. We got action, y'all. So if you are tuned in, just drop in the chat where you are watching from. Hey, Jerica or Jerika. I am so excited that you are here. You were here early, sitting in the waiting room, ready to get this thing started. We are about to get into my Airbnb cheat code. I'm excited whenever I have the opportunity to share my lessons learned, even if those lessons were learned the hard way, which most of them were. So I see we got about 12 people that are here so far. I'm going to get started in about 2 minutes. Give everyone just a 5-minute grace period to go ahead and get logged on, get dialed in so that I know y'all are ready to get this work. We got Jabrika from Mississippi, Whitney in Ohio. Hey, Whitney. Deja, is that how you pronounce it? From Tampa, Florida. Brianna from Tampa, Florida too. Okay, so this is what I need for y'all to do while we are giving everyone a chance to hop on. Go ahead and share this link with a friend if you have not already told your homegirls that they need to tap into tonight's workshop. I'm here to give y'all some free game. So make sure you share this. You can literally just share the link that you used to sign up so that you can not be the only one getting this good information. I always like to say, ain't no fun if the homies can't have none. And so you never know who your next business partner might be, your next business bestie. And if you are not already an entrepreneur, let me just let you in on a little bit of game already that entrepreneurship can definitely be tough. It can be tricky. It can be full of a whole lot of lessons learned. And so if you have someone who you can lean on as you are learning those lessons, it's definitely helpful. So go ahead and tell a friend to tell a friend. I'm going to drop the link in the chat so that it's easy for you to share it. The link is in the chat. You can go ahead and just text a couple friends and tell them that they do not want to miss out on this opportunity to get the tips, the tricks, the tools, and the strategies that I wish someone would have shared with me when I started my Airbnb journey. So I am going to go ahead and get this thing started. Give me 1 second. Let me update something really quick on my end. All right. We got action. We are just going to hope and wish and say a quick prayer that StreamYard, which is who I'm streaming this through, does not give us any issues tonight, okay? StreamYard has been known to play games, but this is one of my favorite platforms still. And so I am still trusting them to do me right. So we're going to go ahead and just get this thing started. All right. Without further ado, let's roll. So again, welcome to the Airbnb Cheat Code Workshop. Tonight, we are going to talk about what not to do with your short-term rental. Again, these are tips and tricks and tools that I wish someone would have told me way back in 2018 when I first got started, okay? There are so many lessons learned, so many things that could have saved me time, could have saved me energy, and definitely could have saved me a whole lot of money if someone would have warned me. And so I always find pleasure in being able to warn or at least give a heads up to other people who are getting started. All right. So this is me. I am Coriel. I am a serial entrepreneur, soon to be 3-time author. My next book is releasing in November. I'm super excited about it. And I am an educator that turned my $32,000 teaching salary into $1 million digital brand. I am the founder of Work University, which is the first Black woman-owned online trade school on a mission to connect Black women all around the world to the resources that they need to start new streams using the skills that they already have. Shout out to my Work University students who are in the building. Sally, yes, there will be a replay available. I'm actually going to leave it up on my YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll be able to get access to the replay. I am the host of the Girl Stop Playing podcast, where I drop brand new episodes twice a week on Mondays and on Thursdays, encouraging you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. I'm a real estate investor, and I am an Airbnb host. I have been featured by tons of different international and national media outlets for the work that I do for women. And so when I say I am super passionate about being able to pass on my lessons learned, I'm not just talking about it. I really am about it. I'm about that life. And so tonight is no different. It's truly my goal to be able to save you time and help you make money utilizing Airbnb, because there is definitely money to be made. All right. So one of the biggest questions that people ask that I just want to tackle really quick is short-term rental versus long-term rental. Because when it comes to real estate, we always hear people saying, invest in land. They're not making any more of it. We know that real estate is, like a tried and true investment strategy. The wealthy, a lot of times, even if they didn't make their money in real estate, they definitely have some type of real estate within their portfolio. It's just a wealth building strategy. But when it comes down to how you want to get into real estate, there's two options really. There's short-term rental and there's long-term rental. Long-term rental would be considered like your traditional rentals. That's where you have a long-term tenant that has signed a lease and they are residing in your property for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months or beyond. Short-term rental, on the other hand, is what we are here to talk about tonight, where you might have someone renting your property for an hour, for a day, for a couple of days, or even for a month. I personally don't allow people to rent my property for 30 days because if you didn't know, one thing, the first little piece of free game that I'm going to give you is that once someone has rented your property for longer than 30 days, they have rights as a tenant, and it could be very tricky and a very timely process for you to get them out of your property once they have those renter rights. So when it comes to like pros and cons, there's definitely pros and cons for both. With long-term rental, obviously you have like a guaranteed amount that you can expect coming in each month. However, with short-term rental, even though it's not guaranteed, there are definitely platforms that make it really easy for you to have consistent income. And you can definitely earn more income, way more income with short-term rental than you can with long-term rental. So with long-term rental, you may sign a lease with someone that says they're going to pay you $2,000 a month. It doesn't matter what's happening in the market. It doesn't matter what's happening in your city. It doesn't matter what's happening locally. You're going to only receive that $2,000 each month. However, with short-term rental, you're not signing a lease with anyone, and your nightly rent can change based on the time of year. So, seasonal. It can also change based on what's going on in your city. So if there is a game, a sporting event in town, if there is an attraction, a concert, a festival in town, if it's a holiday season, your rates can definitely fluctuate. They can increase. So instead of you being tied down and locked into that $2,000 per month rent, you might make $5,000 that month or $6,000 that month. We've definitely had months with our cabin where we've made our mortgage payment 4 times over. So we would have literally been playing ourselves if we had a long-term tenant where we were charging them $2,500, knowing that we could make, $10,000 on a good month with short-term rental. And again, yes, if you're living in a city where there's always something going on, then you can definitely use that to your advantage and have flexible nightly rates. So there's definitely pros and cons to each. But I definitely just wanted to at least mention long-term rental in case that was something that you were considering. One of the things that I'm definitely going to encourage you all to do, and you're already doing that because you are here, and that is maximizing your knowledge before spending your money. So really quick, in the chat or in the comments, just let me know, are you interested in getting into Airbnb or short-term rental, or do you already have an Airbnb property? So drop a 1 if you are aspiring, drop a 2 if you are a current owner. Or not even owner, you just have a short-term rental already. So 1, if you are aspiring or you're interested, or a 2, if it's something that you are already doing. Okay, 1. I think I have a little bit of a delay because all of those ones just came in at the same time. Oh, Whitney is 1 month in. Okay. Congratulations, Whitney. I think you were on my last training and you were saying that you were about to get started. So congratulations that you got your property up and running. Hopefully something that I share with you all tonight, regardless of whether you are aspiring or you are already currently running your property, tonight's conversation, tonight's workshop is going to be full of free game that's going to help you either way. Now, I am going to offer you all an opportunity if you want to take your learning to the next level at the end of this training. I definitely have a special offer for you all who are interested in that. But whether or not you take that offer to continue your learning or not, you're definitely going to get a lot out of just this free information that I'm giving you. So get your notebook out if you haven't already. I don't want this to just be another resource that you are here for, you're excited about, but then you don't really use because you are not able to apply and take action on your information learned, okay? Regardless of whether you are a full-time entrepreneur, you are a working woman where, you're a career woman, you work a 9 to 5, either way, I have had students, I have had clients that have been able to start their short-term rental with the job or with the full-time business. So I definitely don't want you to feel like this is something that has to be like a 3 to 5 year plan. This is definitely something that you can do before the year is up. So I want to just start out with letting you know and encouraging you that this is absolutely something that you can do regardless of the other things that you might have going on right now. The first thing that I want to encourage you to do, aside from just giving yourself a pat on the back for being here tonight, because you are one step ahead of where I was in 2018 when I started my first Airbnb. My only Airbnb experience was me staying in an Airbnb. And so I knew from, the consumer side, I knew how Airbnb worked because I had experienced it that way, but I did not know anybody who had an Airbnb where I could, ask them questions or get advice or ask them, about their lessons learned or their mistakes made. And there weren't, at that time in 2018, there weren't classes or coaches that were focusing on Airbnb. So unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to ask people questions before I started spending money. So I'm always excited when I have the opportunity to be a resource for people who are in the research phase, and you all want to do your due diligence before you start spending your dollars. So this is the first thing that I want you to write down in your notebook. This is a resource called AirDNA. You can literally just Google AirDNA and it will bring up this website that gives you extensive information on the location that you are interested in starting your Airbnb property in. And one of the things that I highly encourage people to do is do your research before you get started, because you don't want to start your listing somewhere and then feel stuck because it's not the ideal location. So literally come up here, and I just typed in Orlando just so that I could populate some data and give you all an idea of all the information that they provide. But you basically type in the city or type in the zip code for where you are thinking about starting your property, and then it will give you all of this information. And this is just the overview. So I didn't even, click on all of these different tabs here, but as you see, it gives you way more information than what I'm even showing you. But it shows you how many active rentals there are. So you can look at this, two ways. You can say, well, there's almost 10,000 rentals in this city. Maybe this city is saturated. Or you can say to yourself, if you have an abundance mindset like I do, you can say, well, there's almost 10,000 people renting their properties in Orlando. They must be making money. Like, Orlando must be a great place for short-term rental, or else there wouldn't be so many people doing it. So I always, have an abundance mindset. I don't ever look at these numbers and think, well, it's too many properties, it's too many, people to compete with, because there's always a way for you to add your own secret sauce. And we're going to talk about different ways that you can stand out, different ways that you can maximize your income aside from just the nightly rate that you're charging. There's a whole lot of things that I've learned through experience that literally there would be no other way for me to learn some of these things I'm going to share with you all other than me just being an Airbnb owner. So it tells you how many active rentals there are. It tells you the average daily rate. It tells you the occupancy rate, the average revenue that people are earning per month. And it literally breaks it down. As you can see, they have March, they have September here. So that gives you an idea of like seasonal rates. Now, when we're looking at Orlando specifically, some of the things that can affect this, obviously March is like getting into spring break season. So March through like early May is spring break season. Of course, summer is going to be really good in Orlando. The holiday seasons are going to be really good in Orlando. But September is kind of considered off season. Sure, there is Labor Day at the beginning of September, but that's not like that major of a holiday where people are, traveling with their families. And so it can just give you an idea of your income and your earning potential. It even tells you like the types of rentals based on the city that you put in. So how many people are renting entire homes? How many people are renting private rooms inside their homes? And then how many people are doing shared rooms, which sounds very scary to me personally, but you would be surprised the types of things people are renting on Airbnb. I've seen people renting couches. That's actually how Airbnb started, with people renting out their couches. I personally would never rent somebody's couch, but other people will. Also down here, it's cut off, but it also tells you the number of properties that are listed on different platforms. So I call this an Airbnb cheat code just because Airbnb is the most popular platform, but there's definitely other platforms besides Airbnb that you can list your property on. You're not limited to Airbnb. And then this map will even show you like where the properties are. So really great information that you can find out on AirDNA. And I highly encourage you to go ahead and start your research there before you rent anything. So when we are thinking about an ideal property, like which properties, if you are competing with 9,500 other properties, what can you do to stand out? Like, what are some of the things that people are going to look for so that your property, will be more attractive than maybe somebody else's? One of the things that they're going to look for is a great location. So where is your property located? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like in a metro city. There are other things that can make it a great location. So it might not be in a metro city. My cabin is not inside the city limits of Atlanta, but it's a cabin. So it doesn't really have to be, within the city limits. It is the only cabin, within 40 minutes of Atlanta. So it is close to Atlanta, but it's not in the metropolitan, area. It is near Stone Mountain though. So the type of people that we're attracting that want to stay in a cabin, they're interested in Stone Mountain. There's lots of cool things to do in Stone Mountain. So just depending on the type of property you have, don't feel discouraged or intimidated if you don't live in a big city. There's definitely other reasons why people come to town. There's other parts of your city that other people would be interested in renting in. I actually have a girlfriend who has an Airbnb that is not in downtown Atlanta, but it's near the airport. Some people may look at that and say, like, that's not an ideal location because people are coming to Atlanta because they want the city. But she actually gets a lot of people who are traveling to Atlanta for business who aren't necessarily like here to party or here to go to an event. They just want to be conveniently located to the airport. So she stays booked with her, house that's in a residential neighborhood, and it's near the airport. So an ideal location, it can be close walking distance to attractions. One of the very first apartments that we started with on Airbnb in 2018, it wasn't right in the city. I mean, it was considered the city of Atlanta, but it wasn't like right downtown, but it was right directly across the street from the Target, right directly across the street from a shopping plaza that had Target, Barnes and Noble. It had lots of restaurants, fast food restaurants, Kroger. And so those are some things that people are definitely looking for and excited about when they're coming in from out of town, especially if they don't plan on renting a car. So if you are walking distance to attractions, that's definitely ideal. If you are able to allow for self check-in, that's ideal because number one, people will arrive to your property at all different times. Flights can get in early in the morning, flights can get in late at night. And one thing that you don't want to have to be responsible for as the host of this property is going to meet people. I have another girlfriend who does Airbnb at a really great location in Buckhead, but the building doesn't allow for self check-in. So she literally has to go meet them, whether they're getting there at 5 p.m. or 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. She literally is responsible for going to check in every single guest. And that is not ideal, especially if you are working a job or you have kids. That's not ideal for you to have to be responsible for checking people in. It can work, but it's not ideal. If you're able to offer a property that has free parking, that's definitely an amenity that your guests are going to appreciate. Because if you're in a city, like we stayed in an Airbnb in LA and they didn't have any parking. It was like all street parking. So you literally were just, if you rented a car, you were just taking a chance, at being able to find street parking. That can be very inconvenient. Especially when people are coming in from out of town, which the majority of your people are, and they don't know their way around. They don't want to have to, rely on finding street parking. Your city may have really crazy parking rules like LA where, you can park from this hour to that hour, but then you got to go out and move your car because now this spot isn't like it's a hassle. And you want to make your experience as ideal as possible for your guests. If you are able to maximize your guest count, that's also going to be helpful for you, so that you can accommodate groups of 4, as well as groups of 2, like a couple that's coming into town. So that's something you want to take into consideration. And last but not least, an ideal property, and this is like next level. This is not like bare minimum basic requirements, but an ideal property has a theme. Here in Atlanta, there are 1,000,001 Airbnb rentals available on the market, but the ones that are themed units, not only do they stay rented out, they get rented out consistently, and they can charge a higher rental rate because people are renting them for content. Everybody and their mama is a content creator these days. And so people are always looking for cool locations to shoot content. So even if you don't have a full theme, like there's an Airbnb that I rented here that has, it was like a black and gold theme. They had like the royal looking chairs, like the king and queen's chairs. They had the black velvet couch. They had the gold frames up on the wall. And so it was simple decor, but it was definitely perfect if you were creating content. Even if you don't have like a full theme like that, You can definitely have like a grass wall that is cost effective. It's affordable, but it's a nice touch. A grass wall and a neon light will give you exactly what you need for people to say, oh man, I can come shoot content here. Okay, so that's something that you want to keep in mind as well. So again, those are just some things that will make your property stand out amongst the other short-term rentals that are going to pop up when people are searching. Another tip that I want to encourage you all to consider is creating a separate website for your property. Even if you don't want to go through the trouble of like hiring someone to create a full-fledged website, or you having to do it yourself, which a lot of people can DIY websites, I at least want to encourage you to get a domain for your Airbnb. So our domain is atlcabin.com. We don't have a full-fledged website yet. I've been working on it, but we haven't launched it yet, honestly, because the cabin stays booked. So it's not necessarily a necessity. It's not like the highest thing on my priority list right now. But having its own domain definitely makes it super easy for people to find it. If people are searching for Atlanta Cabin, it comes up, even if they're not on the Airbnb website. And whenever friends or family reach out, which they often do, to say, hey, we want to rent your property, or we got somebody who we were telling about your property, somebody that's interested, it's very easy for us to send them atlcabin.com versus us having to open up the Airbnb app, get the link through there, copy and paste it and send it out. So if you go to atlcabin.com, it literally takes you directly to our Airbnb listing, which makes life, easier for us. And then it makes it easy for them to be able to pass on to other people as well. I mentioned this earlier, but you definitely want to think outside of Airbnb. There are other websites that you can list your property on. The majority of the websites will sync, so you don't have to worry about, double booking. If somebody books it on Airbnb and then somebody else books it for those same dates on VRBO, that's not something that you have to worry about, because there's ways that you can link those profiles. So the moment somebody rents it out on VRBO, it becomes unavailable on Airbnb. So you definitely want to increase your opportunities for earning income by having your property listed on multiple rental sites. And yes, we redirect our domain. So that's just something that you do through whoever you purchase your domain through. We got ours through GoDaddy, so it's literally just a setting that we had to change inside of GoDaddy to be able to forward it, is what it's called, forwarding the domain to another location. So we forwarded atlcabin.com, which is a domain that we purchased. We forwarded that to our Airbnb listing link. When I say think outside of Airbnb, the other thing that you can also consider, especially if you take it up a notch by having a themed unit, you can rent your property hourly on a website like PeerSpace. PeerSpace.com is like Airbnb, but for event spaces. So people are always searching on Airbnb, people are always searching on PeerSpace for venues for their events or for their photo shoots. And so you can, maximize your earning potential by having your property listed on Airbnb. It can be listed on VRBO. It can be listed on HomeAway, as well as PeerSpace, where it can be listed for hourly rentals. Another thing that, again, we just kind of learned this through experience and over time, is creating ancillary services. So that's creating options for your guests to be able to upgrade their experience. So different things that kind of complement your listing. So again, we have a cabin. Majority of the people who rent our cabin are large groups. A lot of people are renting the cabin for retreats, whether it's like a women empowerment retreat, a church group retreat, a corporate retreat. We've had people who rented our cabin to film movies because it sits on 6 acres. So people will come and rent the cabin so that they can use the woods in the back. We've had people who rent the cabin for birthday dinners or baby showers and different things like that. And so because we cater to groups, We partner with local, small businesses to be able to offer their services to our guests. So when people book our cabin, we send them a link to a PDF, and that PDF is kind of like a catalog of different upgrades that we offer. So we offer a private chef, we offer a photographer. Again, if people are coming to rent the cabin for their events, 9 times out of 10, people are going to need a photographer. And if they are coming in from out of town, they might not know a photographer. So we provide them with that. In the chat, really quick, let me know what are some services that you may already know someone who provides that you can add as an upgrade. Okay, so photography, I had a rental car. Yep. So we have a massage therapist. I have a friend that's a massage therapist. She offers her services. I have a sushi chef that will come out and, oh, there wasn't any sound because I wasn't saying anything, Charlie. I was giving y'all a chance to think about some other services you can offer. I have a friend that comes out, or not a friend. I have a friend that's a massage therapist. I also know someone who is a sushi chef. So he offers sushi classes. I have a friend and client who offers the most beautiful private picnics. So she will come out and do that in our backyard. And then we have cars that are available on Turo. And so, that's another service that's available to our guests as well if they need a car for their stay. Okay, so Whitney says she can do a nail tech, a massage therapist, personal trainer. That's a really good one. So yes, all of those are really great ways that you can upgrade your guest experience, and you can also earn extra money, because let's just say the photographer charges $250. You are going to set it up for your guest, and so you want to make sure you're being compensated for your time. So instead of them paying $250, you might charge them $300, and now you've just made an additional $50 on top of what they've paid you for their stay. So that's another way that you can increase your income and be able to support small businesses, because now they get more business because you're referring them. Another thing that we definitely learned the hard way that I wish someone would have told us was the importance of having an inventory and invoice system. When it comes to you being able to protect your property, which is definitely a concern for a lot of people, like what if somebody messes something up or breaks something, the way that you can protect yourself, because accidents happen and people don't treat your property with respect sometimes. You want to make sure you have inventory of everything that's in your home. You want to make sure that your cleaning company, if you're not the one doing cleaning, you want to make sure they have a listing of all of your inventory, and you want to have an invoice system so that if something is broken or damaged, or if your cleaning company charges you an extra fee for extra additional time because the guests were extra messy, or they had a party or they had an event and didn't clean up properly, you have to provide Airbnb with an invoice in order for them to charge the guest, and then you get reimbursed. So you definitely want to make sure you have an inventory list and an invoice system. All right, now in the chat, let me know, what do you think is the number one thing that can make or break your short-term rental business? Let me know in the chat, what do you think that is? Okay, so let me just, yes, thank you, Stacy. I was wondering if y'all were gonna get it. The number one thing that actually there's two things. I really need to change this to two. Yep, Whitney, that's the second one. So the number one and number two thing that can make or break your short-term rental business, number one is the cleaning crew. You are not just cleaning your property like you would clean your house, because you are literally in the hospitality business as a short-term rental property owner. So you have to think about the experience that you have when you go check into a hotel. There's small touches that you expect. Maybe it's not, maybe it's a mint on your pillow. Maybe it's the toilet tissue being like folded into that little triangle. Like there's small, subtle things that people provide at a hotel versus what you're going to provide at your house. So your cleaning company definitely needs to understand the assignment. They need to understand that they are not just cleaning a residential property, they're cleaning a rental property, and you are a hospitality company. So the number one thing is cleanliness. And then the number two thing, which is a result sometimes of cleanliness, is bad reviews. So again, you are a hospitality company, which is why I encourage you to continue what you're doing right now, which is investing in learning everything you possibly can before you spend any money and before you start your business, your short-term rental business, or go out and rent an apartment, or however you plan on setting up your business. I highly encourage that you invest your time and your energy in really learning how to do things the right way, because once you start getting those bad reviews, it's very hard for you to get your property rented, because as you all know, that's the first thing that people go look for. Like they look at your pictures and then they go look at your reviews. So once you have bad reviews, it's very hard to redeem yourself. These are some tips and tricks that we learned the hard way, just over time and through our experience over the last 4 years as Airbnb property owners. These are some things that you can do to just upgrade your guest experience, making sure that they're happy and making sure that they're going to leave you with a positive 5-star review. So leaving wine and a thank you note for your guests. You can literally, if y'all didn't know this, you can literally get like $2 bottles of wine from Trader Joe's. It's called $2 Chuck. You can get a case with 12 bottles for like $29. So this doesn't have to be, a super expensive bottle of wine. It's literally just the thought. When people are, have been traveling all day and they finally get to your Airbnb, if they are welcomed with a glass of wine, that's always, a great touch. Purchasing a Wi-Fi sign was one of the best things that we could do. Even though we give our Wi-Fi, information out, it's sent out in an automated message to all of our guests. People still end up messaging, well, they did before we got the sign, sending us a message saying, hey, what's the Wi-Fi info? So this is definitely going to cut down on the back and forth with your guest if you have that posted. Scheduling regular pest control services is always a must. This is not even like an option, because you might think that you have the cleanest property under the sun, but you might have a guest that leaves your door open and now you have, some type of insects. You might have guests that bring insects with them. Okay. There's international travelers that might be staying in your property that are bringing all kinds of international bugs. And so even if you think it's clean, you just want to go above and beyond, because again, you are running a hospitality business. You can charge an additional fee for events and photo shoots. You can literally say that in the listing so that people know if they are planning to do an event or if they're planning to do a photo shoot, there's a fee for that. You can require events for deposit, not events for deposits, deposits for events. Again, we have a property that is literally like ideal for people to host small gatherings. And we say that, and literally in the title of our listing, it says that, like perfect for small events and large groups. And so we make extra money by charging not just the deposit, but we actually charge an event fee for that, because, if you are having a group of people over, that increases the likelihood of something being damaged, something being broken, something coming up missing. So we just want to cover ourselves by having a deposit. We also make note of all of the house rules inside of your listing, especially smoking. You want to make it very clear that smoking is not allowed indoors. If you have a balcony and you want to allow people to smoke outside, having an ashtray outside is definitely a good idea so that they're not ashing whatever they're smoking all over your balcony. But those are things that you want to consider. Even if you don't want to allow smoking, you definitely want to make sure you state that inside of your listing and your house rules. You also want to give your cleaning company or your cleaner a checklist inspection so that you can ensure that they are literally going through all of the bullet points that you want them to check. So if you want to make sure they clean under the couch or behind the bed or whatever is important for you, you want to make sure you lay that out for them, so that everybody's on the same page and so that your next guest that checks in doesn't have any complaints. These are some ways that you can double your earnings. Again, you can offer experience upgrades. You can have an in-house cleaning crew. Ideally, that would not be you, but you have like your set cleaner that you can always rely on that just charges you a set rate. And they know how you like your property. So you don't have to worry about, anybody overlooking it because there's someone new. And of course, you can charge people for pets. We don't allow pets in our property just because, so many unforeseen things can go wrong. Even if the person thinks their pet is just like the most well-behaved puppy in the world, things can just definitely get out of hand, especially if they're like leaving an animal in your house while they go out for the day. So we don't allow pets at all. We don't even allow people to pay us for their pets, but that's something that you can consider if you are open to it. And then you can also charge for parties and charge for smoking. We don't allow smoking in our home either, but I have definitely seen some listings that say, if you want to smoke, that's cool, but you got to pay us $100 or whatever. This is one thing that people like have a hard time believing when I tell them that with our very first property way back in 2018, we literally got our first booking. It wasn't even 24 hours. It might have been like 2 hours. Within 2 hours of us putting up the listing, we were able to get our first booking. We didn't even have a fully furnished apartment yet. We were just very creative with the way that we took our photos, and we were able to get some bookings. So, and multiple bookings, not just one booking, but we were able to get multiple bookings within the first 24 hours. And this is an actual screenshot of that very first listing that we had. It was a brand new apartment. We were literally the first ones to rent this apartment. All we had in the apartment, literally all we had were these 2 stools. And I brought these over from my old apartment so that we could take these photos. So we were very creative with the way we took photos because we didn't have furniture. We made sure that we went and at least got like shower curtains so that we could take pictures of the bathrooms as well. So we made sure we had like the bare minimum photos that people were going to be looking for. But again, we didn't have everything together. But we're fast action takers. I always, I'm a super fast action taker. When I know that I want to do something, it's going to be real hard for you to stop me from doing it. And so I always like to, reward other people that are fast action takers too, when it comes to my classes and my coaching, because I identify as a fast action taker. And because I was a fast action taker, we were able to start making money right away with our listing. This is our current cabin. As you can see, I just put up some screenshots of some of our recent reviews, just because I think it's important for y'all to know that I'm not just, giving y'all this information like that I got off the internet. We definitely still currently have an Airbnb property. We are putting the final touches on a tiny house. That's going to be another property that we put up on Airbnb. So this is definitely something that I still currently do, and definitely see the value and the money in doing it. So if you have been told that nobody's doing Airbnb anymore, there's no money to be made, I'm definitely here to let you know that that's not the case. It's definitely true. This is one of my clients, Naja. She's a single mom of 3, an entrepreneur. She did not have a lot of free time. As you can imagine, being a single mom of 3, her free time is very limited. But what she wanted to do was skip the struggle. And so she not only signed up for my boot camp, which taught her how to do it herself, she also signed up as a client back when I was offering Airbnb coaching and consulting. I no longer offer that, but that's something that she just wanted to she didn't even want to be bothered. She really just wanted it done for her. And so this was the unit that we got her set up with in Houston. She lives in Louisiana. So that's another question that a lot of people have is like, can I do an Airbnb in another city? You absolutely can. You just want to make sure you have all the information and you are prepared so that you can actually get paid and so that you are not out here risking your credit doing things the wrong way, because it definitely can be very risky if you are leasing an apartment, putting it in your name, especially if you're doing it in a building that does not allow Airbnb, and you're literally risking it all every single day. So Naja, we were actually able to get her set up with a property in Houston. And for those of y'all who do take advantage of the opportunity that I'm going to share with you all at the end, which is my Airbnb boot camp, one of the things that I provide inside of that boot camp is the name and link to this one particular property in Houston that's Airbnb friendly. So if you are worried about, starting your Airbnb in a building that doesn't allow Airbnb and you have to sneak around and all of the things that most people don't want to do, I actually give y'all the name to the building in Houston that allows Airbnb. And there's other buildings. There might be a building in your city that allows for Airbnb. They just have different stipulations and different rules. So without further ado, let me give y'all some information on how you can just take this thing up a notch. So again, I believe that the information that I've already provided y'all with for free has definitely been valuable and will save y'all some time, save y'all headaches, save y'all some stress. But if you really want to collapse time and skip the line, I believe in investing and paying from people. You can either pay in your time or you can pay with your money. And I'm one of those people, I'd rather just pay somebody who's done it that I can learn how they did it versus paying in time and struggling trying to figure it out on my own. So I packaged up a whole lot more information than just what I was able to share with you all, in this hour that we have together, and put together a Black B&B boot camp. I called it the Black B&B boot camp because I love being able to help Black women specifically. Of course, anybody can access this information and still find it valuable and useful. But inside of this boot camp, I teach you how to choose the perfect location, how to start your rental without having to purchase property. That's a concern that a lot of people have. Like, is this something I can do if I don't own the property? Yes, you can. The best types of property to start, how you can actually go about getting your first booking in less than 24 hours, how you can get superhost status super fast. Superhost is literally like Airbnb's way of rewarding you for doing a great job as a host. It gives you the opportunity to be found at the top of people's searches. It gives you the opportunity to be found more often. And I also teach you how to double your earnings with your bookings. You also get access to some bonuses. So I give you a template for your welcome guest book. That's literally going to be what you send out to your guests that will answer all of their questions, give them all the information that they need to know about their property, so that will limit what they, the questions that they're reaching out to you with. Because I'm not going to lie, that is like the not hardest part, but that's the most time consuming part of being an Airbnb host is, literally having to communicate and take care of your guests. So I give you a welcome guest book template, a cleaning checklist that you can literally either use yourself or pass on to your cleaning company, and then a home essential items checklist for those of you all who want to get started. And I'm not saying you want to get started with the bare basics, but this is a list of things that are essential that you might not be thinking about, because it's one thing when you are, like furnishing an apartment that you're going to live in, but there's a whole lot of other things that you just don't think about when you are furnishing an apartment to rent or a house to rent. And so I give you access to that shopping list as well. So All of the things included here are worth $1,500. However, I like to be able to help people who might just be balling on a budget. And so I do have this special offer that's available for 24 hours only, but you can get access to everything that I mentioned, everything listed here for a little less than $500. Again, this is only available for the next 24 hours. One of the things that you'll also see when you go to the link that I'm about to share in the comments, you'll also see an opportunity to purchase this land buying training. So I'm going to tell you in just 1 second. Let me grab the link, what this is all about. So the land buying training that you see here, and it's like an optional upgrade. It's not included, but I definitely encourage people, if you're interested in getting into Airbnb, um, or not just Airbnb, if you're interested in getting into real estate investing, inside this land buying training, I'm literally giving you the strategy that my husband and I use to purchase 11 pieces of property, 11 pieces of land, for less than $7,000 total. Some of them were as little as like $500. We were able to purchase entire plots of land that you can literally build on. You can set up a garden on. Like, you can do whatever you want to do once you have ownership over land. But I'm giving you the strategy that we use to be able to do that. So on the checkout page, I put the link in the chat, but on the checkout page, you'll see that if you would like to upgrade the boot camp, you can add that on for $39. And I'm literally sharing with y'all this wealth building strategy. Deja says, do we have to have a real estate license to be an Airbnb host? Absolutely not. There is no license, no certification necessary. The only thing I encourage you to do is learn as much as you can before you go sign in a lease. So that's literally the purpose behind my Airbnb boot camp. I'm teaching you the things that I wish I would have known before I signed 5 leases for properties, which we did in 2018, and just didn't know what we were doing. We ended up wasting a lot of time and spending a whole lot of unnecessary money. So inside of that boot camp, I'm teaching you all of those lessons learned the hard way and the expensive way, so that you can skip past some of that struggle. So without further ado, you can go ahead and tap that link in the comments if you are interested, if you are serious and not just curious about starting your Airbnb. I highly encourage you to take advantage of as much information as you possibly can. Whitney says, in my state, I had to get a short-term rental license. So yes, every state is different. I know in New York, in some bureaus, you need a license. So definitely do your research for the state, not just the state you live in, but the state that you are actually interested in starting your property in. So every state is different. Here in Atlanta, you don't need, I don't know if it's a license, but you do have to register. That's something new that they just started. So you may have to, register your Airbnb, but all of that is dependent on your location, which is why it's important that you not only, invest your resources before you get started, but also invest your time in doing your research. So I really, truly hope that this has been helpful for you. If you are watching this replay, you can definitely check out the description of this video or the notes below, and you can get the link to access this training. Depending on when you are watching the replay, it might not be available for $4.97 anymore. It might, be back at the regular price of $14.97. However, it's definitely worth every penny. But like I said, I like to reward my fast action takers, my people who don't have to wait months, to mull it over and get lost in what I call analysis paralysis. The people who know that this is something that they've been thinking about and they are ready to get started. I love to be able to reward those people for taking that fast action. So without, if you all don't have any more questions, I am excited to help you get started. Once you get up and running, please let me know. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Coriel so that we can stay connected. Send me those screenshots when you open up your very first listing so that I can celebrate with you. And I thank you all for spending this time with me. I thank you for joining me for this Airbnb cheat code. And it is my prayer that you are able to take this information and profit.